Hey guys, Marcus here with 3M Marketing and Acquisitions, and I want to welcome you guys to Goal Setting Friday, where essentially every Friday we'll kind of be setting goals for ourselves and using those goals and implementing them that next week ahead of us, okay? I know what you're all probably thinking. A lot of people like to do a lot of goal setting on Mondays, so they're kind of thinking like, why are you doing it on the Friday at the end of the week? But for me, essentially, I really like to set my goals in motion ahead of time. So I feel like if we're able to set these goals on a Friday, have the weekend to really start to put those systems in place and implement them on Monday, then at the end of the week, we can then address what worked and what didn't work and what we can improve upon as well, okay? Also, feel free to send me any comments, questions, or concerns. Or if there's a topic that you'd like to talk about in the future, I'd love to hear from you, okay? So this week, we're going to be talking about accountability, okay? Accountability, I think, is a really big thing that everybody can work on in some form or fashion. And it's a topic I know for myself that I've been struggling with a little bit as well. So I really thought it was a good first topic for us to talk about today is accountability. So let's just kind of dive right into it, okay? I have some notes here, so I'll kind of be looking up and down and checking on those while we're chatting. And feel free to take notes at home as well if you'd like. So what is accountability? Accountability essentially is an assurance that an individual or organization will be evaluated on their performance, okay? It's related to their behavior, for which they are responsible. It's not a one-time thing, it's an all-the-time thing. So that's a big thing I think we don't realize sometimes is we have to be accountable, hold ourselves accountable, and hold others accountable at all times. It can't be a once-in-a-while thing or it's not gonna ever be truly effective, okay? So let's go over some points on accountability, okay? So the first point I got here is accountability starts with you. And I think that's the most important thing is that we really have to truly hold ourselves accountable before we can try to hold others accountable. So making sure that what we practice, we preach per se. If we wanna harp on others about being on time, which I know is a big thing for me, then we have to make sure we ourselves are on time, okay? So making sure that you're implementing those. And that's just an example, but essentially kind of you get the idea where I'm going is holding ourselves accountable is the most important before we can hold anybody else accountable, okay? And once you do that, you'll kind of see it'll be almost like a trickle-down effect. Once people see you start holding yourself accountable, they'll want to hold themselves accountable because you're doing the same. All right, and next, so it says, don't delegate accountability. It is something that has to be accepted for that person to feel. So that's so true too. You can't just delegate and say, hey, I want you to be accountable. Again, that ties back into the first thing is you want to hold yourself accountable, setting that example, and then they're going to want to be held accountable as well because they see you're holding yourself kind of to that higher standard, okay? And you want to make sure that you are setting them up for success when you are holding them accountable. So making sure kind of your expectations are realistic for them to be accountable of. For you people that have businesses with multiple employees, this is really gonna apply to you. But if you're just like kind of a one-man small business too, you know, you're kind of speaking to yourself then, just making sure that that kind of applies to you, okay? Set realistic expectations for yourself and things that you know that you can truly not only work upon and improve upon, but can attain, so. All right, our third one says, accountability is the difference between success and failure. And that's so true. So you'll notice that people that hold themselves accountable truly are more successful than the people that aren't really holding themselves to that higher standard. Okay, not taking accountability, it lets things start to go kind of awry, and you don't have ownership of the situation, and that's a big thing. You want to make sure you can have as much control of the situation as it lets you entail. And if you're not accountable for that, it's gonna be kind of hard, and things are gonna start to kind of go haywire, and it's because you didn't have that original kind of system in place for that. Taking ownership puts you into solution mode. So that's a really big thing, is you want to make sure you can solve the problem. And once you take ownership of it, and accountability of it, you're able to kind of set that in motion a little bit better than normally. All right. The fourth point we got, it says hold other people accountable. So we kind of just went over that. You want to make sure that once you're kind of holding yourself accountable and setting that example, and now you've kind of let others know this is kind of what you want, this is my, plateau point, they'll understand kind of more what that level of standard is and exactly where you're holding them to, okay? One thing you need to remember, that it won't happen overnight. So definitely, as we're discussing this on Goal Setting Friday and you're implementing it on Monday, don't expect next Friday when we chat again to be like, yeah, I implemented all this awesome accountability stuff for my team, but it hasn't worked yet. It's okay. It's going to take some time to really get into motion. But you want to make sure that you're staying consistent with it, and that's the main thing. And you will truly see a change in that over the next couple of weeks, okay? And start with you. Like I said, hold yourself accountable first, and then work your way out to the rest of your team. And I tell people as well, you can apply this to family and friends too. Don't think it's only just for business. Set that goal with your family and friends, if there's certain things that you feel like you're holding yourselves accountable on, okay? So essentially, we kind of have our goals for the week, which is accountability. You want to hold not only ourselves, but our employees, our families, our friends accountable. You want to let them know those expectations up front, okay? And making sure you're addressing that so that there's no confusion on it. If you have a topic that you want to address, guys, again, please feel free to reach out to me. You can drop it in the comments. You can PM me. My business page is 3M Marketing and Acquisitions. You can find me on Instagram at 3M Marketing LLC. Or even just shoot me an email. My email is marcus@3mmarketingllc.com. And thanks again for tuning in to Goal Setting Fridays. And I'll see you next week.